Hi, hi.
We, as artists, now in COVID times, are doubly in a difficult position. It's not only impossible for us to show our artworks at the exhibitions, but also we have lost the opportunity to see new works of our colleagues. So we began to visit each other almost illegally.
But it's wonderful.
Yes, it's something new.
I agree, the life conditions are absolutely changing.
We have to adapt to it. It's very boring at home now. We can't have meetings again in the city center, in a gallery, so you have to go somewhere in the suburbs. But it's worth it.
Yes, it's worth it. It's so worth it.
First of all, here is an authentic Ukrainian borscht.
Yes, the borscht is not bad.
And secondly, this is the reason I came to see you. It's your amazing artworks.
Hey, thank you.
Some viewers would say, looking at your work, that there's a devil in it.
Oh, it's possible because it's all found underfoot. The devil likes to step on people's toes. Everything I photograph is mostly found underfoot. Nobody pays attention to that.
The devil is the kind of anthropomorphic figure that is noticed by sight vision. In your case, it's some strange street object, some strange object in the house.
Something seen by chance.
Yeah, what isn't realized by the person, but it's perceived as dangerous. Your objects are mostly anthropomorphic figures, simple marks that usually a person doesn't notice, and if he notices them, they won't tell him anything.
A person will pass by, will not even pay attention to them. What's also good about them is that they are cosmopolitan. That is, they can be collected in any part of the world, in any city. They are not tied to a place, and that's what they are good for. That is, any resident of any city may recognize their city when they see these photos.
What cities are represented in your photos?
Moscow, Krakow, Helsinki, Tallinn, Chicago, Madison, Denver, Cincinnati. You'll never guess where something's been taken.
So how are they different?
Well, it's a good thing they're not different. The idea is that our world is a global whole, a worldwide unity, and the world is cosmopolitan. You don't care what city this shot is taken in. It can be taken in any city. And in any city it can be seen, and it's clear that this is the Osir of Russia, but everything else here is absolutely not tied to a place. And it's not tied to anything.
Let's see. You can find something like this in any city.
This is Moscow. This was filmed in Bolshoi Tokmakov Lane. Here's an example of a Moscow water hedge.
So you're literally a singer of the Russian land.
It's a photography of which there are several copies in different collectors, and they're very happy with it. You'll never guess that this is Moscow.
I don't guess. I can't handle it. Show me one foreign picture.
This picture is totally foreign. This is Chicago. There's a picture like this in Moscow, but this one was taken in Chicago.
Chicago gave birth to the famous yellow color, which is now the color of every taxi in the world.
The colors of 2021 are yellow and dark gray.
Yellow flows from one of your photos to the next.
Yes, that's yellow, but this is Moscow.
Moscow is keeping up.
Yes, Moscow is not lagging behind, but you have to be able to see it that way. Everyone there is driving in their car when you show people these pictures. The first question is, what is this?
Do people take offense that they don't see what you see?
The hardest thing about this line of photography, I imagine, is the vision. It's very funny when you see something interesting on the street and start taking pictures. People around me watch me and can't understand. What's interesting I saw there, what kind of idiots. They think he's doing some foolishness, and then when they see the picture they say, wow.
It's always nice when ordinary road workers carry on the traditions of the Russian vanguard.
This is pure suprematism. This is an homage to Kandinsky. It's one of my best pictures. This picture was sold at several auctions.
I find unique your ability to detect a geometric order and suprematism in the chaos of the city. But for your other series of anthropomorphic figures, I decided to consult psychologist Evgeny Vlasov, who assists me with the psychology of perception. I'll ask him why you see human faces everywhere.
It's his artworks that are anthropomorphic that are interesting. When the artist's eye picks out an image on the surface of a road or a wall that has human features, these are anthropomorphic images. This attention to motionless forms that are at the bottom of our field of vision, there's something so calming about it, and there's something grounding about it. Yeah, we psychologists have a term called solid grounding. I mean, people who lose their grounding have a hard time. The artist suggests that we look downwards to what's happening in the urban environment on the floor. His gaze is downward, and because of that, it is healing. One regains an understanding. A man regaining the realization that he has a platform beneath his feet. Next, body sensitivity is activated. It is also connected to perception when we examine something with our glance. In this way, we obtain a foundation, such a posture. The gaze is directed downwards. E is more favorable to a person than looking directly at the wall. To look somewhere far away at a wall, it requires from us an additional tension. But looking at the floor is a rest for the muscles and for the spine. This is the initial position, yes, from which calmness begins. This is the position of stillness. Perception is an active process. It's a process in which our attention is structured by our previous, ancient experience of perceiving visual images. These visual images are very significant in relation to our safety, and so it's a natural process for humans to look for anthropomorphic phenomena in non-living nature. And when we're tired of living people, we're very pleased with the funny face in the instant artwork. Whether they're accidental or deliberate, like this smiley face on a half sphere of concrete, or here, this accidental work of nature. A passing bird did this. This is its droppings on the asphalt in the form of a white spot reminiscent of Munch's The Scream. When we're born into the world, we see nothing but patches of color, randomly moving, stopping patches of color and darkness. When we turn our attention to these images in search of anthropomorphism, we can remember a quote from a character in the movie Solaris. Why do we need space? Why do we need to fly to the moon and the stars? Human beings always need human beings.
Are you guided by the opinion of the spectators or art critics?
Sure, I have to be guided by my own opinion, my own taste. Because there were cases when viewers came to my photos and looked at them and then said, what the hell are you photographing? There are so many churches and beautiful buildings around, and there are so many parks and flowers, and you're taking pictures of some bullshit. That's what I say to such viewers. Guys, we're not on the way with you. We learned to have a vision. And then it turned out they were art school teachers.
You're planting a ticking time bomb for art teachers.
This meeting took place on Gogolevsky Boulevard in Moscow last summer. I left for a long time. Two men in glasses came in, looked at my photos for about 20 minutes, and then they said this sentence.
I found a wonderful photo too.
Oh, that's a marvelous picture. Yes.
Is that an accident too?
It's an accident, yes.
Nobody drew on it with paint.
I don't think so. I don't think anyone painted over it. It's just worn off the paint. I never do Photoshop or stage photography as a matter of principle. I take a photograph of the subject as it is, and this one turned out the way it is. I think it's a successful photograph.
But it's unexpected.
Yes, it's Munch's Scream in all its glory. It's from the Faces series. I also photographed it underfoot on Tveretnoy Boulevard in Moscow. When I photographed it, no one could understand what it was.
To see your new works is my current necessity. After all, I haven't seen them for almost a year. But you haven't been to any of my shows in the same amount of time. And I've missed my exhibitions too, and having my work seen and appreciated. I remember how you sang "Oh" about my artworks at the auction where you were the auctioneer.
Because I first saw your work at the Museum of Russian Art. I immediately realized that this is a great master.
These works are from 10 years ago. They're dedicated to that famous Moscow heat wave with smoke in 2010 and the horror that accompanied it. Look, 10 years have passed and the horror is no less terrible.
If not more horrible.
We didn't take that horror seriously, and it was fatal for many people.
In 2010, when the torrified peat bogs were burning, it was terrible. The smoke was topsy-turvydom.
There was a kind of aesthetic splendor to it, but natural disasters have a very bad effect on me. I'm in this moment of self-salvation. I can't do art. I didn't take a single shot at the time, except for this series. It was a studio shoot, and it was done entirely in the smog and 35 degrees Celsius heat. The whole feeling to this day is like a spring is released when I look at these pictures, like a cryptogram of the energy of the time. I only took one significant photograph this year where the performance artist Nastya Belova is standing with a Scythia's death.
It's a fantastic photo, a prophetic one.
I don't absolutely feel as an artist in a situation like this when I have to seek money and sell my work.
It's a mistake to say that an artist must be hungry. An artist must be happy. When an artist is in a good mood, then his work is good. And when one has no need for anything and has no problems, then all the doors are open to that artist. If he gets satisfaction from them, then his work will sell itself, offer themselves, realize themselves.
Do you feel yourself as an artist?
I'm beginning to feel myself.
What does that mean?
It means that I feel that I realize that what I do has become a pleasure for me. When I get a good shot, I get euphoric. And if I take a couple good shots a day, I'm happy all day long.
The realization that you're an artist and that's what you should be doing, only when you get feedback.
Yeah, without feedback, it gets really dull. There have been times when you've been able to neutralize conflicts through photography and you've been able to get the audience excited and you've been able to change the mood of the crowd. I have a photograph which I took while photographing the FSB building in Lubyanka. A Tovarich Major came up to me for asking, "What are you doing here, photographing? What are you taking pictures of?" I show the photo and I hear from him, "Wow." Another time I took a picture of this hatch, and when I demonstrated that the photo reflected Russian Bitcoin, the people on the street had a laughing fit. This was also taken at the Lubyanka. Also Bitcoin, there's a bunch of Bitcoins and there's a gorgeous one, hysterical laughter.
I thought Russian Bitcoin was this picture.
Oh no. The name of this picture is Blia. This is a part of the inscription on the coin in a 2 ruble, and this is a Russian obscene emotional exclamation. It's a state of mind. It's old, by the way. This photo was taken in 2014, and it's in constant demand. It reflects our reality. There's nothing to say but Blia. If we were doing a calendar for 2020, I would make it in the shape of a flag. This picture represents the whole year, symbolizes everything that is produced not only in our country, but all over the world. The trouble 2020...
I'm sure your collectors aren't buying your work because they have money to spend.
I agree. But it's not only collectors who buy my photographs, it's ordinary people who buy them to decorate their interiors, to decorate their homes, to decorate their office. He's not a collector, maybe he just likes it. I know a lot of people who really like it. But someone who, for some reason, instead of buying, say, "You better give me a gift," they don't get the idea to buy it. Unfortunately, but I think each photographer can't devalue yourself. I mean, you have to keep your value and your level. Everything has its value and its price. It doesn't make sense to sell yourself for 3 pennies. You have to know your value first of all.
Have you sold a lot of artworks for the interior most?
There are purely interior pictures like this yellow one here. Also the space series that people are willing to buy. Here, for example, is a photograph. I present it as space. Martian alien. People get philosophical about the idea of this image and see that it's a wow. They call it a wow effect, they just love that moment. They buy to look at it and find something new in it. And there's a lot of people like that, but most of them are interior decorators. Surprisingly enough, the photograph fits the interior. I have corporate buyers. They don't buy for a collection, they buy for offices. An office in an urban loft style, urban style. The photos fit in there perfectly.
I don't like buyers buying art to match the color of their walls. A viewer once came up to me and said that she would definitely buy my work because it matched the color of the walls in her apartment. Perhaps she meant something nice, but it made me feel uncomfortable.
People who bought first to match a color scheme come back to buy again. They want to have already not just a spot of color, but as art. People buy first for the office, just for the interior. They get involved in the process, they start to like it, and then they become collectors of my work. If it wasn't for this crisis, this year would have been a big year because 2019 has started to gain momentum.
Technical question. How long have you been shooting with this phone?
This one is 3 years old. It started with a Samsung Galaxy Note 2, then some other Chinese phone. I shoot with a professional camera too, but it's not always within reach. The camera gives better quality. But at that moment when you're running down the street, it's not convenient to use a camera. When you're in the mood to walk around with a camera, it's naturally great. But most of my photos are taken on my phone. The quality of the camera on a phone is not much worse. An artist should above all be fed, satisfied and happy. And I urge all our collectors, patrons and everyone else to appreciate artists because they bring you beautiful things. They make your life better. When you look at a good photograph, a good painting, you realize that the world is beautiful and life is good. I find nuances around us that no one else sees. Photography should be aesthetic pleasing, just like painting. They are not indistinguishable from each other in terms of perception. I appeal to collectors, patrons of art and lovers of beauty. buy photographs, buy paintings, and you will support beauty. You will support it and will not let it fade away what we have left of this beauty in our lives.
Buy artworks of artist Evgeny Tripolsky through social networks, Instagram and Telegram. And please support my art channel on YouTube. Scan this QR code and send the donates. Link for paying is in profile of my channel too. Thank you.